So yeah, apparently the whole TwitchCon thing got even worse. Besides the Emaru thing, there was a lot of shit that happened at TwitchCon. Man, I swear to God, probably when the upload of this video on my channel, it'd be last week or so. But man, last week definitely was a fucking spectacular. But technically, for me, it happened like a couple days ago. So yeah, man, of course, it's got worse. You know, apparently there's more. Apparently Dan Clancy was partying with some young girls. I'm not surprised whatsoever, you know, but if I was a CEO of a fucking company, I wouldn't be fucking celebrating with young girls. I'm just saying, especially the people, I think those people are on the platform too as well. So I think they're in it for something else. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just taking a guess.
As if the TwitchCon disaster with Emaru wasn't already bad enough, as well as Dan Clancy's absurd damage control. Well, now we're getting even more reports about how terrible the event's been, as that takes us to Iron Mouse, who says, I deeply apologize to all the VTubers and the fans who had meet and greets at the VTuber booth this year. It breaks my heart to know staff threw out all the gifts.
So, there's a reason behind this, right? Apparently, supposedly, allegedly, there could have been a bomb in the gifts. There could have been a bomb or some chemical shit or some random fucking shenanigans in the gifts. That is these supposedly is what is being incited or so. The reason why they threw away the gifts, apparently, allegedly. So
I should have known better than to trust them and taken care of everything ahead of time.
I don't know how true that is because I haven't seen anything about it.
One of the top responses here to Mouse from Buff Pup reads and also mentions Iron Mouse helping out, saying, "Girl, it's not your fault. It's clear as day that they don't know anything about VTubers or care about safety, even when people express months beforehand. When I asked to have a meet and greet for Rose on the screen, they said they had no idea how to do it, and you came in and helped, so I don't want to hear you blaming yourself. I love and appreciate you more than ever, and I'm sorry your experience with trying to help friends was super soured by Twitch, literally not caring, as usual." So they're not running the meeting.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. She shouldn't be apologizing because it's not her fault and it's out of her control.
Greets properly, they're throwing gifts away, their security is a complete mess. I got more to say about all that, but first let's keep going because it still gets worse. As we've got Henya the Genius, and she posts, unfortunately due to a miscommunication or misunderstanding, any gifts or presents given to my meet and greet staff were disposed of by the venue staff. I'm very sorry for anyone who gave me a gift IO. I'm not so sure it was a miscommunication or a misunderstanding or an accident even, but like I said, I'll talk more about that once we keep getting some more context. As we've also got Canine Kuro saying, unfortunately, if you gave me a TwitchCon gift, the event lost them all. I still really appreciate the intended gifts though. A response here from Maya says, they threw a gift meant for Chibidoki into the trash bin. And that takes us to Chibidoki, where she says, can anyone else from my meet and greet vouch for this? Nags and I were told to stop. I'm so incredibly sad if this is true. I was genuinely so excited to meet everyone. They told us we had to end for safety. And that takes us to Chibidoki's experience, because not only did she have gifts thrown away, but they also gave her the complete runaround and cut her event short, citing safety concerns. Isn't that ironic? As Chibidoki says,
I heard about this
sorry
too
for the
as
wait,
well.
chat, not having the best experience right now, just ugh. The staff have been lovely for the most part, but they wouldn't let me enter and told me to walk all the way to the help desk to get permission to enter my meet and greet, because their wristband they gave me doesn't work. I also had to show my face. It was very scary for me, but I understand why. Bruh, imagine not even being allowed to enter your own meet and greet. And it sounds like this was because of a mistake they made with the wristband they gave her.
Man, dude, it's crazy that you for VTuber shit and whatnot. It's like they really do not like VTubers. They really do not like VTubers.
Or something, so then she had to go like walk around all the way back to the help desk, get that swapped out or whatever. And by that point in time, you know, the whole meet and greet has probably been delayed. That certainly cuts into the time of the meet and greet, which means she has less time to actually hold the event because of their mistakes. And it actually still gets worse from here, because Chibi then responds and says, they also cut us short and we didn't get to meet everyone. I'm so sorry. If you see me around the convention, please feel free to say hi. And this dude Robrano says, wait, they cut you guys short? When I asked the staff, they said it was y'all who cut it short. I can't believe they try and shift the blame onto you guys. Chibi says, what? No. We always meet every person. Last year we stayed for 3 hours. I think the line was too long, and for safety, they didn't want us staying. He says, oh, that's sad. A lot of us had to leave because they told us the line was cut because of your voice issues. I think that's what it says. ID sues, I think it's issues. And that typically, they move folk to a different meet and greet area, but due to health conditions, it was just cut off. Chibi says, what? But I never told any staff of my voice problems. I didn't even talk to any staff near my booth, only at the entrance. And he says at 3:30, they said the line was cut off and that while most creators typically go to a separate meet and greet area to meet overflow fans, due to the quote-unquote circumstances, we all had to leave. And Chibi says, I don't think that's referring to me being sick. I think they're referring to the really bad stuff that happened yesterday. Then he says, the stuff that happened yesterday was horrible, but they specifically said that if a creator wanted to meet everyone in the line, then they'd move to a separate area. However, all of us were told to leave because you weren't feeling well and couldn't meet with more people. Robrano then added, I even asked the line capper if there was anything I could do after being told that everyone had to go, and he just said, leave. Oh yeah.
Of course they don't like VTubers. For God's sakes, did you see what happened? What was it, the past 2 weeks or the past week or so, where someone gave birth live on stream and Dan Clancy was literally in the chat for that shit? While a VTuber who shows her hips, like a little bit of skin on the hips, will get fucking banned, okay? The dynamic of the two is completely different from one another, okay? Let me just remind you that.
You can leave. Bruh. Chibi would then post about the conversation that we just read between her and Robrano, saying, can anyone else from my meet and greet vouch for this? Nags and I were told to stop. I'm so incredibly sad if this is true. I was genuinely so excited to meet everyone. They told us that we had to end for safety. I never even told any staff I'm sick. I'm so confused. I showed up and asked if I could wait for Nags before going out. That's the only time staff talked to me in the meet and greet area before telling us to cut the line
Hey
short.
Zach, thank you for the subscriber or
so. If this is true. Which takes us to this response. Twitchcon staff is all over the place on miscommunication between attendees and streamers. A friend of mine was given so much incorrect information, being originally told she could join your line after a separate meet and greet at the same time, but then removed entirely from the meet and greet area. She had a small gift bag of things in a clear bag she wanted to give you. Well, I mean, they'd probably throw it out anyways, but, I'm making a joke, it still sucks, but, like, I'm not joking either. Like, they probably would throw it out, as we know. She asked security if they could give it to you. They said yes. Oh my gosh. They said yes, then proceeded to toss it into a nearby trash bin. She confronted them about it. They told her it was a security risk and could have held an explosive. Dude, that's freaking...
There it is. There it is, right there. I told you. The explosive thing. There it is. There it is. There's the actual proof there.
Crazy. So they say that they'll give the gift to Chibi. And then as soon as they get the gift, they turn to the trash bin and just dump it in there. And like, it's not okay to do that at all, right? But you would think if they're gonna be scumbags like this, that they would at least wait until the guests left and were like out of view so they didn't like see that. But it sounds like they did it right in front of them. Like they did not even care at all. Oh yeah, we'll give it to her, and then instantly tosses it in the trash. Actually insane. And
it's crazy how they don't even review it to check to make sure it doesn't have a bomb in it or whatever, allegedly. So
this whole thing about this like random security she gave the gift to try and like give the Chibidoki, and
like they don't even bother doing the bare minimum.
They'll do it and then turning around and throwing the gift away, saying it could be an explosive. That sounds completely unreasonable. You see, these conventions have the initial security checkpoint, and the protocol is those people decide who can come in and who can't come in, and if they need to dispose of anything before they're allowed in. So at this point in time, these guests were allowed in.
It actually did get worse.
The initial security checkpoint was totally fine with that gift being.
You got to be pretty shit security for an explosive to get that far. LOL. Like if it was real, they so nonchalant. True. Like they didn't expect to invest on an X-ray machine or something to pass put the gifts and everything through the X-ray machine and double check to make sure it doesn't have anything inside of it. I'm just saying, they could have done the bare minimum and bought an X-ray machine for at the entrance for gifts. Like if people have gifts in general, like they could have just had that, But But no, they don't. So
brought in. And then there's the obvious point about, yeah, them just throwing what they think is an alleged explosive into a nearby trash bin and leaving it at that is also ridiculous. That wouldn't do anything to stop the alleged explosive if they really thought that's what it was. Which, I mean, in my opinion, based off what I just read, I don't think they actually thought that. I think these people are just scumbags, and they were happy to throw someone's gift away. And as we know from the other anecdotes that we've been reading, this was not a one-time thing. This has been a recurring theme throughout TwitchCon
imagine
with staffers.
even even if it was or so, right? Allegedly, right? And they threw it in the bin, like close to them or so, it probably wouldn't have not mattered.
Whether security or other staff, throwing gifts away. And there's a bit more to read about all of this, but I suppose while I'm making this long-winded commentary section now, I mean, comparatively to the rest of the video so far, I'll mention my opinion some more real quick. So we already know that some creeper went after Emiru.
Yep.
And in large part, you can argue that Twitch not allowing her to have her favorite security guard, banning that dude, and seeming to limit what the security that she did bring was able to do.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know where this rumor is coming from like there's gonna be a bomb in a gift or something, and then all gifts are getting thrown away and everything. I don't know where this rumor is coming from, so I have no idea, so I'm not saying anything. But at the end of the day, it's kind of pretty shitty security for them to get passed all the way through to where the security guys are at to check it, and then they just throw it away. Just not even taking it somewhere. They just to check it to see if there is. They just kind of just threw it away right in front of them. So
is something that enabled this creeper to do what he did. But regarding the rest of this, specifically this issue of meet and greets being ruined, guests being lied to, and gifts being thrown away, it seems like this has all been disproportionately affecting VTubers specifically. And this seems a bit too coincidental, especially because I
think at this point, it's probably pretty much over for TwitchCon, and then on top of that, VTubers should probably do their own event with their own hired security to do this, in my personal opinion. Wouldn't be surprised if staffers would steal the gifts. I wouldn't be surprised about that too. If they saw certain gifts that they were supposed to be gifted to them specifically and then decided to take it, I would not be surprised either.
Things occur on the platform itself, on Twitch.tv itself.
Like I said, they hate VTubers. They really do.
VTuber a 2-week ban saying that VTuber's too provocative.
Because you want to know something on top of that? VR chat streamers can show certain things that VTubers cannot. They literally separated VR chatters and VTubers as their own separate thing, and they have different rules. So they're more restrictive on VTubers, but then if you're doing VR chat and the VR chat content, it's a little bit more looser compared to VTubers, which is kind of crazy in my personal opinion.
But then they'll have literal cam girls doing infinitely more provocative things, and they're totally fine with that. There's no repercussions for them at all. If anything, Twitch actually promotes that sort of stuff. So Twitch has a documented history of having a bias against VTubers, and it's really weird and sounds dumb saying that. I don't know why Twitch is this weird of a platform, but this is something that is well documented at this point in time, as mentioned. So I don't get it, but they're just weird and petty like that. And it seems like that's not exclusive to the platform itself. Even at a live in-person event, they're doing similar stuff and treating VTubers this way too. I suppose that's all to say that this consistent bizarre behavior from Twitch is too coincidental. It seems more likely and more reasonable to conclude that this is actually not an accident, and it is on some level intentional. Okay, so we left off here. We read this paragraph about how the security threw the gift away, saying, oh, it's an explosive, so let's put it in this trash can in the hallway or whatever it was nearby, because that's totally going to stop an explosive. Yeah, And so then the user says, we were told we could join the line again by one staffer, only for security to tell us that it was capped. We don't blame any of this on you. Staff clearly doesn't know what it's doing. Chibi responds by saying, I'm gonna cry, I'm so sorry. And then she went on to add, thank you everyone for the kind comments. I've been really heartbroken about everything, but I don't want the focus to be on me when much worse things happen to others. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm trying to take away from that. I just wanted to meet you guys. So yeah, in closing, this situation sucks. I feel really bad for the VTubers. I feel really bad for the viewers. I can't imagine a viewer getting a gift, being so excited to give that gift to the streamer, and then you find out that not only did they not get the gift, but it was thrown away. Some people are speculating too that some of these gifts might not have actually been thrown away, but that Twitch staff actually took them, although of course that is just speculation. But either way, whether stolen or thrown away, this whole thing should have never ended up like this, obviously. I think it's very likely that what happened to the gifts is probably somewhere in the middle. A lot of them were probably thrown away, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was some opportunistic staffers who thought, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can like stuff this in my backpack or whatever, you know? So some of it probably did get stolen in my opinion. That seems highly likely. I'm not saying that's a fact though, obviously. And then there's the whole thing with meet and greets, people given the run around with that, saying, oh yeah, you can go, and then saying, oh, you can't go, getting pulled out of the line or whatever. And then from Emiru's testimony the other day, we know that according to her, some of the staffers at Twitch were literally laughing about what happened to Emiru.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, a complete mess of an event to say the least. Let me know what you guys think about all that in the comments. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you here and in the next one. As if the Twitch...
Jesus Christ, honestly. Goddamn, dude. It's, wow, I was not expecting. I was expecting the Emiru thing, but then, like, you know, it got even worse. Oh my god, dude, it just gets even worse, dude. It's terrible, man. It really just gets worse, man. My god, dude. That's just crazy though. I think it's definitely over for Twitch, or for TwitchCon anyways, but also for Twitch. Thank you for the follow, Jark. Yeah, but that's pretty much about it. I lost that a long time ago now. Humanity is giving me justifications why I was right to. The funny thing about it is that last year, a guy got sexually harassed at TwitchCon. Last year. I remember that. And now this time, it was a female. It was a female who got harassed this time around. You came from the spoopy videos. Hey, let's go. More YouTube audiences. Hey, welcome though. Just letting you know I'm a terrible streamer, okay? All right, I'm not really that entertaining, all right? Take us to the Void Co, please. I don't know if I can fit all of you guys there, to be honest. But yeah, overall, it's kind of crazy to be hearing what's been happening about TwitchCon in general. Honestly, was not expecting that. Well, actually, well, I say that, but I wasn't expecting it for it to get worse, but oh well, it is what it is. Hey, Jazzy Tunes, thank you for the follow as well. Welcome. Also, well, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. Yeah, tell me what you know, I was just, after learning of basically, like, how TwitchCon basically works, like, you have to give your username to them, but I'm so curious if like you can just come in with like a different username instead, you know, but like I guess you can't, I guess, but like, oh well, it is what it is. Life is a shit show and everything popular will find a way to crash and burn all of its own. No, it's just that Dan Clancy is just not really a good CEO of Twitch. For God's sakes, the guy has been is literally gooting out to young females partying last night and everything, so yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the video. And